I'll just pretend I didn't hear that.
Wait, you don't like getting your eardrums wet?
No, I do not.
All right. Noted.
Welcome back to Rated Radio with your hosts Rayburn Alexander and Shane Wyndham. Rayburn, catch everyone up on your world. Anything new to share?
Well, I'm partially deaf, so going swimming. Yesterday I pretty much blew an eardrum, so if I sound like this, forgive me. Other than that, I listened to Behold.
You did?
I did.
And what did you think?
I actually really liked it, especially that one part.
Oh, especially that part.
It reminded me a lot of Bowie's Heroes, and there were a lot of different layers to the song that I really enjoyed.
Okay.
And I didn't mind the acoustic to electric guitar part.
Well, I will have to keep looking for another test or example because I was absolutely certain it was the guitar feedback that was getting you.
Nope.
The difference in our opinion with regard to Radiohead, but
it also reminded me a lot of a song called Yoshimi Battles the Pink Robots.
Yep, never heard that.
Might have to be my suggestion coming up, but if you haven't listened to it, listen to it. I think it's by the Flaming Lips.
Okay.
So anyway, how are you? What's going on?
As you may now know, I'm a master carpenter now.
Yes.
Yeah. I built a bench.
And then proceeded...
badly.
Yeah, and then proceeded to rip it apart on social media.
I haven't made any cuts with a circular saw in a very long time. Surprisingly, though, it was not an excuse for me, the guy, to buy power tools. That's the positive. It was a birthday gift for my wife, which is probably a good thing because she's going to be having to do a lot of listening to me sing You're Having My Baby by Paul Anka again. Because she's pregnant again.
Are you serious?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh my God. I'm sorry. I'm trying to not yell in the mic. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How did you manage not to say anything?
How did you manage not to notice? She's laid up in there with Sprite and crackers. And
I figured she was sick like you told me she was. Oh, I didn't see the hospital band. God dang it. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You have them up. Sorry.
That's all good.
Holy crap. Well, anything that we talk about in this podcast is not going to exceed the amount of joy that I'm feeling right now.
Yeah, got her in the mood to talk about music today, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, enough about us. Roll the intro. Well, let's jump into the lists for the week. What was our song list this week?
JoJo and Britney Spears. Our song list.
Our song list.
Okay. I'm an idiot.
Did you just fail yourself?
I told you this morning I was like floating on a cloud, and I'm still kind of feeling that way. Our song list, which I will say, you suck.
Why?
Because you gave me the hardest top 10 songs to pick.
I was trying to play on your pick from last week. Has anyone ever written anything for you?
I had an extremely hard time with this list.
Okay, so she had the one song, I guess.
Apparently I'm limited to only one song that defines myself. But I had to narrow it down to 10, and that was the hardest part. So,
what was your first pick?
Untitled, How Does It Feel by D'Angelo.
I like that song.
It plays on my late 90s, early 2000s love for R&B. And I find myself showing a lot of people this song. So I just thought it was an easy pick.
Do you like Brown Sugar? I realize that probably wouldn't work as a pick for songs that remind you of yourself, but do you like that song? Have you even heard that song?
I haven't.
Okay.
So
you should go listen to that one.
Brown Sugar.
Same artist, it's D'Angelo.
What's your first pick?
It's Atomic Dog by George Clinton. I figured this list in particular would be a nice introduction to ourselves, so I really went balls to the wall for these.
You are the dog.
Yeah, that's my nickname in the family. it's not something I attained as an adult because I like women. It's just something that my aunt and uncle had always called me, and now everybody else does. I remember when I was young, there were a handful of my friends who had either been around the family, or in the case of Lynn, our uncles were friends, and they would all give me shit. The sheer number of times in school I had to hear, D to the A to the WG.
Yeah.
Shane is my dog. Ridiculous. And that's Eric's fault. That's my Uncle Eric's fault.
That is true.
But Atomic Dog by George Clinton, that's the one.
Which incidentally, I don't know if I should be saying this. Dad, please forgive me now. Mom, especially forgive me. That's my dad's sexist song.
Atomic Dog?
Oh, yeah. If you ask my mom, she will call me a fucking liar. But, yeah.
Nice.
Duke and Kitty.
Wow. What's your number 2 pick?
It's She's Leaving Home by the Beatles. It reminds me of when I decided to leave home, how it kind of affected my parents. And they were sad, and I set off on my own adventure to create my own life. As
an adult, right? You weren't some runaway?
I'm not a runaway.
All right.
Although just
to clarify.
Although I might not get to ever speak to my parents again after what I just said about Atomic Dog. But yeah, it's also my favorite Beatles song. So it just reminds me of leaving home and starting my new life on my own.
Cool.
What's your next pick?
I went with New Deep by John Mayer. I relate to a lot of John Mayer's lyrics. That should be obvious. But this track specifically reminds me of the reinvention I went through as a teenager. I'd lost all the weight. One of the things that I began enduring, which was a combination of the epilepsy and my heart not having to work as hard as it used to. So I had atrial flutter, just a lot of heart trouble in general around that time. But this song specifically makes me think about acceptance of the fact that life was always going to have its struggles. And I still look back on that period of my life when I listen to this song. That's all there is to that. Pick number 3.
For some of you that may not know, I'm a huge Halloween nerd. Also, I'm enticed by the spookiness of, crystals and, anyway, witchcraft, I guess.
Bullshit.
Anyway, you only say that because I'm not always jonesing to watch a scary movie.
Go ahead, it's okay.
Anyway, my 3rd pick is Season of the Witch by Donovan. It will always be on my Halloween mixes. I usually throw a rather sensible size Halloween party every year.
Is Donovan that weird 70s fucker who does like hurdy-gurdy man? And
yes.
Oh my god, okay.
So,
I'll go listen to it just to know. But
it's one of his more tamed ones. I like this 70s. It's almost like The Doors in a weird way. So Season of the Witch by Donovan, it just touches the spooky side of me that I don't usually like to show a lot. But
now everyone knows that Rayburn is spooky. I did not know.
What's your next pick?
Next pick is Listen to Reason by Brian Steeksma. Most people have likely not heard this song. This is really the only time I'm going to bring this up on the show. But what this makes me think of is the fact that I am big on science and critical thinking, which that means I follow the evidence to any end. It's made me rather non-religious in most people's eyes. I went through a lot to get to this point in my thinking. It was a struggle I had to go through because I was epileptic, and I'm sorry that I keep bringing epilepsy up. It's been a big factor in my life, much bigger than I thought it was going to be. One of the things that happens is I have these auras before a seizure, which is an absolutely horrible feeling. It's like deja vu mixed with a ball of anxiety in your stomach. But not every time was like that. There was once that I hallucinated pretty terribly. I actually thought I was having a stroke. I was at work. I was sitting at the front desk with the receptionist, and we were having a conversation about something. She's talking to me, and I'm paying attention But suddenly I got this strange feeling on like the left side of my head that I was a Tyrannosaurus Rex and I wanted to just chomp her ass, just
I'm sorry.
eat her like she was lunch.
That's not funny, but it is. It's kind of funny.
Oh, I get made fun of constantly for this. There's a part of my head that knows you're not a dinosaur, dude. You're not a fucking dinosaur. But I started laughing in the middle of her story. I wish this moment was on tape because she had to have felt so bad because she's telling this probably heartfelt story, sweet girl. But I'll just start laughing out of nowhere. And I'm laughing at myself because I'm trying my damnedest not to say, you need to get out of here. I'm a T-Rex.
And the next day she quit.
No, she did not. I don't even know if I ever explained that to her. But minds are fallible. That's the takeaway here. Mm-hmm. And I tend to lean on things like science and critical thinking.
It's also humbled you. In my opinion, it's humbled you to a really good level just because you hold yourself accountable for everything. You don't seem like you're high and mighty or you're up on a pedestal just because you think a certain way.
Yeah, I question my memories on everything.
So I think that level of, I guess, self-realization humbled you a lot.
Listen to Reason by Brian Steeksma. It's a good track. Anyway, your next pick.
My next choice is Hey Look Ma, I Made It by Panic at the Disco.
Panic.
I chose this song because my ultimate goal in life is to, and my parents' lives, is for me to make something of myself that they never got to make of themselves, if that makes sense.
I'm following.
They've always pushed me to be more successful, the best version of myself. And I'm not saying that I've reached that point yet, but I'm continuing to try to better myself a little bit every day. And I don't know, especially when I left home, I have always been striving to be a better person and be a better version of myself because I believe that no person is complete. They always have work that they could be doing. And I'm at the point in my life to where if I were to die tomorrow, I would be satisfied with the person that I am and the person that I was. But I always know that there's room for improvement. I'm just okay with... I wake up every day and I'm okay with the person that I am.
Good.
But
I just want to say don't die tomorrow because I'll look like an asshole because I will continue the podcast.
That's fine. Just promise me you'll get somebody in here that at least is a better version of me.
Okay.
They can be just like me, just a little bit better.
That's a fucked up thought. Welcome back to Rated Radio. Here's someone that's a better version of Rayburn.
I'll be dead. It's not like I'm going to care.
Wow.
Anyway, what's your next pick?
Epiphany by Stained. I think when most people in the family think about me, they're going to think about this track. And I think there's good reason for that. It reflects the most basic version of who I am. Somebody forever at odds with a heart that's only taking on more and more as I get older. As an example, this song, every time I listen to it, it makes me think of something else. It reminds me of something else. Most recently, when I listened to it, I was really affected by a part of my life when I was young that most people don't know about. My sisters claim to have no memory of this, and I think that's just because I spent so much time on the phone with my first real girlfriend, Callie, that they just completely overlooked the fact that for a few years, I spent time on the phone with a girl named Amber that I'd never met. Mm-hmm. And that remained the case until recently. I'd never seen her. We just talked. She lived a few cities over. I think I knew one of her cousins that I went to school with. Back then, kids were always on the phone. They were always calling each other. Mm-hmm. We used to, in school, I remember some of the guys that I knew, we would try to get as many phone numbers as we could, whether it was to prank call people, even teachers. Mm-hmm. We prank called a lot. I'm sorry, Mrs. Richardson, that we called your phone and flushed the toilet. But we did that. There was a girl I remember in school. We got her phone number. She wouldn't give it to anybody, but one of her friends gave it to us because she was not allowed to talk to boys on the phone. Mm-hmm. So when we called her phone, she got grounded. Yeah,
I poor girl.
I felt bad about it. It was funny as hell, but I felt bad about it.
You should feel bad about it.
Yeah.
Even to this day, you should feel bad about it.
I knew we were good people. I remember me and my friend Chris, we used to sit in his room and make all these calls. But one of the people that we would spend the most amount of time on the phone with was a handicapped kid. He was in a wheelchair. He's a real good kid. He was just kind of slow.
Mm-hmm.
Want to say his name was Nick. It's been a long time. But I remember his mom was she was iffy when we first started calling. Because we would talk to him. But she was really...
Did she think that y'all had ulterior motives?
She thought we were fucking with him.
Yeah.
And eventually, I guess she talked to the teachers at the school and realized, no,
you guys were actually friends.
They're friends.
With him.
They actually, they pal around with him and whatnot.
Kudos to her, though.
Yeah.
For trying to protect her child. I will say that.
I appreciate that she didn't just make the snap judgment. She actually went and tried to find out as much as she could.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, with regard to Epiphany and that girl that I used to spend so much time on the phone with, part of the reason that I even know what she looks like or anything now, she found me out of nowhere. She's been going through a struggle with cancer.
Aww.
And so I wanted to bring this song up specifically just to finally have said something worth saying. And that's thank you for taking the time on someone who didn't know how to love himself back then. What's your next pick?
Baby Come Back by Player. There is a story behind this.
Tell the story.
All right. So the story is, I had always said when I was like a preteen teenager that anybody that has seen the movie Say Anything with John Cusack, I imagined what?
I don't remember anything about that movie apart from
what I'm going to say.
In Your Eyes. Isn't that the song?
Well, yeah. In Your Eyes by Peter Gabriel.
With the boombox?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always imagined that someday I'd meet a great love and he'd stand outside my window holding a boombox, but he wouldn't be playing In Your Eyes by Peter Gabriel. He'd be playing Baby Come Back by Player. So, with that being said, my mother took it upon herself to round up a group of gentlemen in our high school.
She did not.
She did. Including my boyfriend at the time and still, Blue, the love of my life. She made a sign that was about 8 dudes long.
God damn it, Kissy.
And it's, as I went up, this just wasn't at a random time.
All right.
It was my junior high graduation. I was leaving the 8th grade, leaving the 8th grade, going into the 9th. And as I stood up to walk across the stage, 8 men and my mother stood up and screamed at the top of their lungs, Baby Come Back.
Nice.
And held up the sign in front of everyone. So, it's only fitting that this be one of my choices.
Yeah, I missed that. I think I was only there for the high school graduation, which completely confused me. A bunch of motherfuckers start screaming Pine out of nowhere. I'd never heard that nickname.
Pineapple.
Yeah.
Yep. And I'll explain that later on. Keep listening. You'll find out why. But that was my clear choice. Baby Come Back by Player. So if you haven't heard it, listen to it. It's 70s in all of its glory. So give it a chance. Anyway, what's your next pick?
My final pick for the first half of this is All I Really Want by Alanis Morissette. This song just speaks to the fact that I don't like small talk. I want to have conversations that matter or are memorable. I remember hearing this song when I was young, but it didn't initially land. I had to meet someone who was a lot like myself to fully understand that this song meant so much to me. But as a good example of what I'm talking about, when a good conversation is being had, I get lost. Like time just completely lost. Most recently, I went over to hang out with my sisters for a while, and we were drinking. We wound up sitting on the back porch and talking and listening to music. And I think it was Joseph who walked out. I don't know. I was fucking drunk, but I was trying to sober up because I thought it was getting kind of late. So I wanted to be able to drive home. It's only a few miles, but still. I think Joseph walked out with a phone in his hand, and it was my mom. And she was super pissed off because my wife had called her not knowing where I was. And I I was very confused. Like, what the fuck do you mean she doesn't know where I am? I told her I was coming over to Jordan's, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It was 6 o'clock in the morning. I'd been there for, 10, 12 hours. We'd just been drinking and listening to music. I had no idea. And she had to be at work, so I had to come home and stay with the kid.
Yeah, your son.
Yeah.
It amazes me every day that she chose to have a child with you, let alone two.
Two. I'm going in. Okay, anyway. Should we get to the artist?
Yeah. Who do you want to touch on first?
That's up to you.
Apparently, I'm not good at making decisions. We can touch on JoJo first.
All right, let's talk JoJo.
All right.
So, my albums are out of order on the sheet because Spotify has the wrong years. So,
and there's a reason behind that I can get into. I did a lot of extensive research about where the hell JoJo went for so long. And there were a lot of issues with her label after she, came out with a couple of singles. They didn't allow her to release music. She was still making it. They weren't allowing her to release at least 2 albums that she made. They were having a lot of problems at the label, and they just basically put her on the back burner for a long time. So she had to resort to singles and mixtapes.
Was there a reason? They just didn't have money, or they didn't like her content?
They went through a lot of staffing changes, and a lot of the money got shuffled around, and a lot of artists were affected. Toni Braxton was affected. Timbaland was affected. So there were solid 10 years where JoJo really fought with leaving the label because they signed her for a 7-album deal.
Right.
And it's the label that is run by Aaliyah's uncle.
Okay.
I think it's called Blackground.
Blackground. Okay.
Blackground. So they put her on the back burner, and she was getting screwed for 10 years. And that's why the Spotify albums are so jacked up, because she finally fought. She didn't get a dime for her trouble. She literally only fought to be able to make music and release it. She left that label, and then she started remaking her songs that she made with that label. So like Leave, Get Out, Little Too Late. That's why they're on those later albums, but you remember them coming out in like the early 2000s. So she has had to really struggle, and I was very surprised that this was going on. I just thought she disappeared like one hit wonder.
So is that re-recorded music we were listening to?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, that explains my feelings with regard to Leave, Get Out.
Yeah.
But the first album was self-titled, JoJo, from 2004. This album, it fell in my next to last rank, and I gave it 1.5.
This fell in my second to last. I gave it 3 5s. My top track was Never Say Goodbye.
Same.
And my bottom track was the Happy Song.
Mine was Breezy.
I don't think that ranked high on mine either.
If there's family listening out there, it's not because of the name of the song, so do not start sending me hate mail.
Yes, please don't send him any hate mail. You can send it all to me, but don't send it to him.
This album had that song on it, right? Her big hit?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you give that a 5? I'm guessing you still gave the re-recorded version a 5.
Get Out? Yeah, it was a good track.
Yeah.
It took me back to being like 13.
I think I liked that song back then, but I was just never crazy about it.
Yeah.
But Never Say Goodbye was definitely...
Whitney Houston loved that song. She sent her flowers because of that song.
We should mention, since we're starting with JoJo, that these are 2 what you would consider pop artists.
Mm-hmm.
But they're very different.
Mm-hmm.
Very different. JoJo has a much more soulful...
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
We'll get to who she, in our opinion, who she sounds like later. But yeah, they're very different. But also in a lot of ways, they're really similar as far as like being victims to their label.
Yeah.
So
women in the industry.
Yeah. Well, girl power.
Taken advantage of for as long as they could.
Yeah. And still some being taken advantage of.
It's pretty fucking sad.
Yeah.
Anyway, the next album was The High Road from 2006. Mm-hmm. This album fell right in the middle for me, and I gave it 2 5s.
It was actually my bottom album. I gave it 3 5s. My top track was How to Touch a Girl, and my bottom track was Note to God.
Okay.
I don't know what she was thinking when she wrote Note to God. Didn't make any sense to me. And for someone that has such a strong vocal range, she really struggled in that song. So
I think I have some opinions on both of these things you're mentioning, but
All
we'll
right.
get to that later. My top track was Too Little Too Late, and my bottom track was Exceptional. That's really all I have to say about that. From this point on, we went from, 2006 to an EP in 2015? So these are...
a significant gap there.
Yes, but you can tell that she has grown her sound in this time between. Moving on to the EP, it's called 3.
This was the first album that she was able to get out from underneath her label and kind of take back her own voice. So there's only three songs on the album, hence 3.
And a talk track.
Yeah. So it ranked right in the middle on me, number 3. My top track was Say Love, and my bottom track was When Love Hurts.
Okay. Well, I counted the talk track. This came at the bottom for me, again, because I'm looking at purchase value, which is how much I would pay for an album. We don't have to get into the weeds of that. I gave it 2 5s. Again, this fell at the bottom of the rank for me. My top track was Say Love as well. And my bottom was The Story of 3, which is the talk track.
Was it a waste of a track for you?
It was.
Yeah.
I should take that back. As far as talk tracks go, this wasn't terrible.
Yeah.
It actually provided some insight. My problem was that I don't understand how you get to release the rest of that and release the quality that you hear on that album. One, it kind of reminds me of editing our stuff that first week.
Yeah.
When I boost your vocals, I get all of that background noise, and that is exactly what you hear on the track, in addition to her smacking her lips like it's going out of style.
Okay.
So I had some weird flashback there.
So she should have hired you to edit.
No, I suck at this, as listeners will no doubt tell you. I'm not that great. We're not using the greatest microphones yet, but we're getting the job done.
Yeah.
I like what we're producing. So
Yeah.
Kiss my ass. Moving on to the next album, which is Mad Love from 2016. This album was my runner-up, so I didn't get my top pick, but it was right there. I gave it 7 5s.
This also was my runner-up. I only gave it 4 5s. So again, we know that I give significantly less 5s than Shane, usually always.
Usually always.
Usually always.
I'm ready to find the exception to the rule. Let's keep going.
My top track was Mad Love, and my bottom track was Vibe.
Vibe did fall under my bottom track. I was torn between that and Edibles, which Edibles has got a great sound at some point. It's just that line.
Yeah.
I don't remember what it was, like come over and eat edibles or something.
Yeah.
It just bothered me and I never got over it. My top track was Like This.
Okay.
Yeah.
What?
Not a lot else to say about that one.
That was the album that all of her song titles ended with a period, right?
Probably.
I think so.
I don't pay that much attention. I see the artists with all caps names now, and the stuff that's all in lowercase. I don't pretend to understand any of that.
No. All right. So moving on to the final album. It's her Good to Know album, which is from 2020. This ranked my number 1 top album. My top track was Small Things, and my bottom track was Lonely Hearts. And I gave it 3 5s. So I actually gave it less 5s, but overall it was a better album in my opinion.
So a lot of 4s apart from those 5s.
Yeah, a lot of 4s. It was mainly 4s and 5s. I gave it 1 3.
All right. Well, let's get this out of the way.
All right.
You think about the artists that we've covered, there are going to be some people out there who are upset by this. This was my top pick. I gave it 9 5s. There are 9 songs on the CD. This album got a perfect rating from me. Now, I'm familiar with the album.
Which I knew that going in.
Yes, I was introduced to it earlier in the year, and it does, at the moment, hold as a contender for Album of the Year so far for 2020 for me. It's soulful. There are some other terms I probably have written down somewhere that we'll touch upon, but I really liked this album. My top track was Comeback, and my bottom track was Pedialyte, just because it's not one that I always want to hear.
I think that was my lowest ranked, too.
I think that one has the part at the end, like the Weekend type stuff, where they bring in something else going on at the end.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I liked this album because it switched up her sound a lot. It just seemed like she matured more in this album. Like she's a woman. She's singing as a woman that has gone through hardships. And like Shane said, her voice is extremely soulful. And I just think that this album highlights a lot of her struggle and uses her vocal range to a good, I guess, capability.
Yes.
So that's one of the reasons why it ranked top for me. It was a better album.
If you like erotic lyrics, hip hop fusion, and soul, if you can get over the pop elements, if you're one of those who hates pop, but you like any of the rest of what I just mentioned, I think you'll really enjoy this album. Go check it out. That's good to know. And let's move on to the questionnaire.
All right.
What was your weirdest track?
Anything.
Okay.
You know what? And the funny thing is I can't necessarily specify why it was the weirdest track for me. I just don't think it did anything for me. And
we should mention that Anything samples Africa by Toto. Okay. That's probably why.
Yes. It just, in the beginning, the beats to the Africa, I guess, instrumental was okay. But then we got into where she started singing over the track, and it just felt really, really discombobulated.
Yeah.
It didn't make a lot of sense to me. Now, I mean, yes, I love Africa by Toto, but had it been sung a little bit differently, or it had different lyrics or a different hook, I think I would have given it more of a chance than what I did.
Yeah. Mine was The Story of Three. That was my weirdest track. Again, we've been over why. Mm-hmm. What was your best title?
How to Touch a Girl.
Same.
It just, you want to know how to touch a girl.
Yeah. You want to hear it.
Yeah.
I have to admit, I was disappointed by the song itself. I expected more out of a song called How to Touch a Girl.
Yeah.
But it was definitely the best title.
Yeah.
What about the worst?
The Happy Song.
The Happy Song.
Yeah.
Okay, here's where I wrote down Note to God.
You're okay.
Yeah. Now, with regard to that song, what I wrote, as a song title they should have used instead was Keep Listening. Mm-hmm. So as someone who isn't particularly religious, I still thought when you sat down and listened to it, it did get better. It had that soul appeal. I think if the lyrics hadn't been so cheesy, I guess,
yeah,
it would have had a lot of impact.
Yeah.
Anyway, what would you have used instead of
the Happy Song?
Yeah.
The Blah Song.
The Blah Song.
The Blah Song. it didn't do anything for me. It was just, I don't honestly have an opinion. It's not even good enough to warrant an opinion.
Harsh.
So, yeah, well, whatever, I'm an asshole.
What do you think JoJo's strongest element is?
Her vocal control. I think she's got a strong voice. For a long time it was pretty muted because she wasn't being used to her full capability. And that's one of the reasons, like I said, I liked the newest album. So I think she's got great vocal control. What about you? What do you think is her strongest element?
Her eroticism, the soulful nature of what she's doing, mm-hmm. and definitely the hip hop fusion mm-hmm. in places.
Yeah.
When she first started out in the discography, it was just way too close to pop. When you put those two so closely related, you had to dial the pop down quite a bit for that to work.
Which incidentally, she hated Leave, Get Out. She thought it was absolute garbage, but the label pushed her to do it. She was wanting to go. She was wanting to go with a completely different sound, but with her being so young, they wanted to bring back the teenage pop sound because there weren't a lot of artists her age putting out music.
Okay.
She's since embraced it, but she was not a huge fan of it.
Not at the time.
No. What would you say her weakest element is?
The lyrics are occasionally vapid. And again, it does fall into that one-note pop category in a lot of places, especially early on. What about you?
I said non-distinguishable songs.
There you go.
There were a lot that sounded the same.
Yeah.
Who do you think she sounds like?
Oh, Lord. How much time do we have?
Not a lot, but if you're going to have to give me the same amount of time because I have a lot.
Yeah, I'll keep it brief. So take, for instance, Mad Love from the Mad Love at the song.
Mm-hmm.
It sounded to me like a combination of Taylor Swift's Lover and Christina Aguilera's Nasty Naughty Boy.
Mm-hmm.
If you could throw those two together, that's what it sounded like. Honest, the song Honest, sounded a lot like The Weeknd's Love in the Sky to me. Vibe reminded me of Rihanna's Rock Me Out.
Well, it's funny that you say Rihanna and Christina Aguilera because they also made my list. Keisha Cole's Love. A lot of JoJo's songs, especially in the beginning, kind of sounded like Keisha Cole's Love. At times she sounds like Chris Brown like early Chris Brown when she I guess gets more into like the hip hop aspect of it. She sounds like Meghan Trainor, and in later albums she reminds me a lot of Ariana Grande.
I could see that.
So those are the ones that I thought that she sounded like. Just if you could mix them all up, it's JoJo to me.
When would you listen to this music, or how does the music make you feel? Like
I'm in a struggling relationship.
Okay. I don't know how to touch on that. There's I could see it. I guess I could see it.
A lot of songs crying at the window while it's raining. And you're wondering where
I thought it was the sexuality aspect.
Oh, okay.
She's doing what a lot of hip hop artists do, which is, never mind the fact that I'm in a relationship.
Yeah.
Let's talk about all these people I want to bang. That
Yeah, no, that didn't
that was the vibe I got.
That didn't do it for me. That wasn't what I meant. What about you?
I said when you're relaxing or when you're getting ready to fuck.
That is two very, very different.
That's what you get from her discography.
All right.
If you're listening to it early, I don't know.
You want to chill and relax, but if you're listening to it later.
That's soul, though. That reminds me of what R&B can be in a lot of places. Mm-hmm. You get that cool relax. Mm-hmm. Or sometimes it just makes you want to bang it out. You know what I mean?
That seems like a very drastic switch.
Well, sorry.
What was your first or best experience with the artist?
I'm going to go with best experience, and it would just be the Good to Know album. My friend Brooke recommended the album because she knows I listen to The Weeknd and Taylor Swift, and that album kind of falls right in the middle of those two sounds. And there's another album out by the lead singer of Silverchair, Daniel Johns. The album is called Talk. It falls in the same vein of this sound. It's very soulful. I'm sorry I keep using that word. I don't want to say jazzy. I don't want to say bluesy.
In case you didn't know, JoJo is soulful?
She is soulful.
I can attest to Shane's opinion of JoJo. He was talking about this album long before we even decided to do a podcast. Basically, since it got released, he was telling me, go listen to this album.
It's good shit.
And I was a dick, and I didn't. But he got me. He got me anyway.
Listen to the Daniel John CD too. Specifically, if you want to hear something that reminded me of JoJo's sound, go listen to Cool on Fire. Mm-hmm. Not my favorite track from the album, but the sound is similar.
It reminds you a lot of hers. I'm going to go with my first experience with the artist. It was Get Out, Leave. I used to wake up in the morning getting ready for school, and it used to be on MTV's morning music videos. So back when they used to play music videos.
See, you had to have, there's a reason why you like this, and it's because you had to go through the Get Out, Leave phase to get to the Baby Come Back, or what was the name of the song?
Baby Come Back by Player. Yeah. So I used to wake up. I could literally tell you what that music video looked like. I mean, I watched it again as an almost 30-year-old woman, but
I tried watching some of the newer music videos and they didn't really catch me, so.
The newer ones?
Yeah.
I thought that those were more creative.
They probably are. It just visually wasn't appealing to me. It's probably because I'm sitting in a living room most of the time with a kid who's thrown toys all over the place.
True.
So I see this explosion of color in a video. I don't know. It looked like... I'm not going to go there. Let's just leave it alone.
Okay. Who would you like them to collaborate with, and what would you like them to cover?
The Weeknd. And what I want them to cover is R. Kelly's Down low?
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah.
Holy shit.
Go ahead.
This will probably never, ever happen again. I also said The Weeknd. And I said The Weeknd's Snow Child. So, and I went through a couple different artists before I decided on The Weeknd. So.
You really like that new Weeknd album, huh?
Have you been seeing that I've been listening to it a lot on Spotify? Because it's pretty much been on repeat.
I don't really see I'm not on my laptop much or a work computer.
Okay.
So I'm usually listening on the iPad and it doesn't show me what my friends are listening to.
Mm-hmm.
Plus I don't have a lot of friends, So.
Yeah. Although in the first episode, you said you had a lot of friends.
I think I was late on the Spotify train. Because I don't think people are as active on there anymore. I know there was a point where Facebook was trying to integrate Spotify real heavily.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of social elements like share a song or do all these. Yeah. So I got on there and it could be that people just don't like me. Fine. But I followed most of the people that I knew that were on Spotify and I didn't really get many followers in return.
I can't talk a lot of shit either. I think the only people that are my friends on Spotify are you and your mother.
I am being followed by Flick Connection, the YouTube channel.
Well, look at that.
Which is spectacular because I watch that stuff all the time. We're getting off topic.
Anyway, all right. What makes JoJo seem unique?
I would have said what makes JoJo seem unique is the jazzy R&B with sex-centric lyrics. If you can't tell, I really enjoy that.
I said her vocal strength again.
Okay.
That's the thing that I admire most about her.
How could this artist be most successful in the future?
Keep developing her newer sound.
Yep, that is almost word for word what I said. Who would you recommend this artist to and why?
I would highly recommend it to a friend of mine. Her name is Madi Faye because she appreciates strong female voices. She's also a big fan of Ariana Grande, so I think that she can relate. So, Madi Faye, if you're listening, go listen to JoJo, her newest album, Good to Know. You'll like it, and if not, you don't have to be my friend anymore. I don't have very many, but it's fine.
She's trying to throw the rest of you out the window.
Well, if you don't like it, it speaks a lot about you as a friend.
Well, damn.
What would you say, who you would recommend this artist to and why? I
said sexually unashamed people who like a popish, cool relax. You really have to be in that mindset where you're not upset by your sexuality. You're not afraid to express it or confront it head on. But if you are in that category, I think you'll enjoy at least the Good to Know album. That's for damn sure. What about the bottom? Did you write anything for any of these?
Yeah, I said that similar sounding songs. Never Say Goodbye reminded me of Unbreak My Heart by Toni Braxton. And Mad Love sounded a lot like I'm Gonna Love You by Meghan Trainor.
Okay. See, I need to go listen to that. This shit bugged me to no end. Some of the similarities in a lot of JoJo's songs to other songs that exist. Anyway, the Meghan Trainor song.
Yeah, it's I'm Gonna Love You. I forget who is featured on that song. I guess it's just the slow, like almost doo-wop-y sound that Mad Love has reminds me a lot of that song.
I did see when I went looking to find out if that song had anything sampled or it had a lot of positive critical feedback, which just further highlighted for me that I don't want to listen to critics because the majority of them get so far up their own asses that they forget what the hell they're doing, how to do it well.
You sound very hipster right now.
I'm still kind of mad. I won't get too much into why, but there's a music reviewer out there who I watch. I don't always agree with what he has to say, but the way he treated a more recent Blink-182 album, and get the fuck out of here. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You sound like some people I know that are just like, no, can't listen to it. It's not the same group it was 20 years ago. Can't listen to it.
Well, those are those ignorant people that are comfortable living in ignorant bliss.
Yeah.
Fuck those people. I know a lot of them. Anyway, do you have any optional discussion topics that you want to touch on?
Yeah, I would say that JoJo is hardcore for pop. So don't go listening to this artist just thinking it's run-of-the-mill pop that you're getting on Top 40 radio. It's not. It may not be explicit in all places, but it's damn sure sending a message. As far as concert performances go, I'm always curious about pop artists. So I think I would see JoJo live just to find out if her range is really there.
Yeah.
Or just see if I can find some lip syncing going on, which I doubt she does.
Yeah.
It seems like she's got quite a bit of self-respect.
Mm-hmm. She don't need it. She don't need lip syncing.
No.
Like some other people.
Yeah. That we're talking about
that we're going to talk about.
Which I don't knock that either, because if you go and watch Britney Spears live performances,
she's a performer,
working her ass off on stage.
No, I'm not going to discredit the fact that she is a natural born performer.
JoJo covered the song Weak by SWV. I love the original a lot more. Sorry.
I like the original a lot more, but I listened to a lot of covers this week that we'll talk about later. But that one, by far, was the best cover that I listened to this week.
I can agree with that.
I mean, I still like the original better, like you said, but I can appreciate what she was trying to do with it.
The love theme from St. Elmo's Fire was sampled in her song Coming For You. So that was one that I actually got to nail down. I didn't even have to look it up. I was just like, oh, I know what the fuck this is. It's that David Foster song from St. Elmo's Fire, because I love the Brat Pack film era.
That's one of your favorite movies. Am I correct?
Yeah, I do like it a lot. Mm-hmm. I think I was going through a phase. I think that's why the poster is on the wall over there by the door. Oh. Yeah, actually, I could touch on both of those movies this week. I was going to say,
I'm looking at Lonesome Dove right now.
Yeah. St. Elmo's Fire is on the wall. I remember initially hating that movie. Mm-hmm. And then as I got a little older, going back and revisiting, you're like, oh, I can actually relate to this shit now. You could
identify a little bit better now that you're a struggling young adult.
Yeah, when you outgrow Breakfast Club a little bit, which is still one of the best. But anyway, we'll move right on along here. You want to go ahead and start this week?
Sure. My song recommendation for this week is going to be Humility featuring George Benson by the Gorillaz. It's just got that fun, like you're walking down a boardwalk looking at the water feel. So I am recommending this song. It's a good summer song, although summer's pretty much over at this point.
Right.
But if you ever want to put together a summer mix of a bunch of songs, this will hopefully make your mix.
Gorillaz and George Benson.
Mm-hmm. I'm surprised you haven't heard this song.
Yeah, I haven't dug too far into the Gorillaz stuff. I always mean to, but I don't know.
Which all these songs I'm suggesting you can find on my Spotify under a playlist. So if you can't remember the name of it, just visit that playlist and it'll all be right there.
Yeah, I think we both have some other playlists up at this point, so feel free to go look. Is there anything you're wanting to promote or plug this week?
I don't have anything to promote this week.
Okay. All right, so things are going to be a little different for me this week. First, I want to go ahead and talk about the plug. Mm-hmm. I've always published my own poetry collections. Recently, I did agree to be a featured writer in a collection of poetry, and it is now on Amazon. It's called The Poet's Symphony. It was edited and compiled by Tara Caribou. The theme is music, so it really fits into what we're doing, and it has 5 exclusive pieces from me, and then a bunch of stuff from other people that are all just writing about the topic of music. Mm-hmm. And so if you enjoy any of that sort of thing, go check it out again. It's called The Poet's Symphony, and it's on Amazon. The reason I said this week is going to be different is because my recommendation this week is a mystery track. I'm getting looks right now like, what the fuck are you doing?
I feel like you're about to drop the biggest bomb on me.
No.
And not the friendly kind.
This is good. So this is a call to listeners. I'm going to give you a song to figure out. This song contains 2 samples of some older songs. And if you can be the first to write us and let us know what song it is that I'm really talking about, then you will get to hand pick what the next artist we cover is, and we'll still draw out of the guest jam jar, or the listener jam jar.
Mm-hmm.
So listeners will get 2 picks next week if anyone can tell me what song I'm actually talking about. I've rambled around the subject here enough, but I still want to mention that this entire thing was inspired by your mother, by Kissy.
Mm-hmm.
Her actual name is Krista.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason that this is here is because I wanted to return a favor. My entire life, she has been, if there's a popular song on the radio that I really like, the majority of the hip hop and stuff that I listened to in the 90s, even some of the alternative in the early 2000s, had a lot of samples, or it would be covers. And my dumbass didn't know about it when I was young. And she was always right there, immediate. Do you like this, dog? Go check out the original. You need to hear this shit. And she would turn it on for me and let me hear it. So really, I wanted something that would speak to your mom. Mm-hmm. And I think this really does. So the 2 songs that are sampled in my mystery song, the first one is Making Love in the Rain by Herb Alpert. Mm-hmm. And the other is Tender Love by Force MDs. And those are fantastic songs. So enjoy trying to figure out what it is. Do me a favor. Don't go looking it up online. Try to figure it out for yourself. And if you're the first to let me know what song my mystery song is, then go ahead and send me an artist name and we will be covering that in the near future.
I think you just made up for the whole Duke and Kitty thing earlier in the podcast. So she's now you're now her new favorite.
Well, this was planned in advance, so I didn't know.
She doesn't have to know that.
Your parents are very open. They wear not just their hearts, like their entire existence on their sleeves.
I know.
I love that about those people. I think that's why we can do what we're doing. And
they are who they are, and they make no excuses for who they are.
Anyway, let's get on to the next artist.
All right. It's Britney, bitch.
Heaven help us, let's talk about this. I'm going to let you do all the album talk.
All right. So, to start off, we looked at Britney's first 5 albums. Her first album, Baby One More Time, who she was first known for, aside from being on Mickey Mouse and Star Search when she was young. It's her 1999 album. It ranked in the middle.
Don't say Mickey Mouse too loud or my kid is going to come running into the room.
Like the Kool-Aid man. Busting.
Yes. I'm not bullshitting.
Gosh, Shane, I don't know what you're talking about.
He is on a roll right now.
It ranked in the middle for me. My top track was Thinking About You. Bottom track, Email My Heart.
We had the same bottom track. My top track was Born to Make You Happy. Mm-hmm. I gave it 2 5s. How many did you give?
3.
3.
Again, this was her debut album, so it was pure Britney. This was pure baby Britney.
Pure baby Britney.
Baby Britney.
That's producer driven Britney.
Yes.
Pop to the max.
Bubblegum pop at its if this album, I think it was pink, but if I didn't know what the album looked like, I still would imagine it pink.
Oh yeah. Little cheerleader outfit and stuff that they had going at that point.
Cheerleader. Schoolgirl.
Yeah, schoolgirl.
Come on.
Yeah, just, I don't know. Cheerleaders are in school.
And then...
cashing in on sexuality of a teenager.
Baby One More Time actually was supposed to be written for TLC.
The song?
Yes. And they denied it because it didn't fit with their sound.
Way to go, TLC.
Britney Spears actually... The whole Baby One More Time video was her idea. So the sexualized schoolgirl was Britney's idea.
Well, that doesn't surprise me. It just...
Well, I know. Everything in the beginning was very label driven.
Was she an adult at that time? Was she 18?
She was 16.
So there's still people around her who are having to give the okay for these things.
Yes, but from what we know now about her parents... I'm surprised that nobody really put their foot down.
I suddenly sound like a prude over here, and that shouldn't be the case.
Yeah, what happened?
It's
Shane?
A child.
No, I agree.
It's a child.
I was watching the video, and I was telling Blue, time does strange things, because I look at this video, and I think, she's a child.
Yeah, she was.
She's a child, and I can't even think about her being almost an adult at this point. But anyway, moving on to...
Yeah. Email My Heart was horrible. I'm sorry out there to all the people who love it.
I agree. It's such a dated track. I would say I couldn't identify with it. I know exactly what was going on at this time, and I still didn't like it.
Yeah. I had to listen to a lot of these albums when I was young.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I'm going to say. There are some that my sisters listen to that I still really enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
And I really enjoy parts of this album. There are quite a few 4s, and again, there are 2 5s. Moving on to Oops, I Did It Again,
which was her 2000 album. I ranked it at number 1. It got 4 5s for me. Yeah. This was primetime Britney. This was Britney she was thriving at this point. She was not a girl, not yet a woman. I don't know if that was on this album. Anyway, it got 4 5s for me. Top track was Don't Let Me Be the Last to Know.
Same.
And the bottom track was the I Can't Get No Satisfaction.
Same.
That she covered, originally done by the Rolling Stones. So.
Where we don't agree, this was my next to last album. I gave it 1 5. How many did you give?
I gave 4.
We
did it!
It happened.
I'm just now realizing we did it.
Yeah. I didn't care too much for this album. I was trying to think about it because as we move into the next CD too, which was 2001's Britney, this was my bottom pick. The thing about these 3 albums is they came out consecutively 1 year after the next. It was 99, 2000, 2001.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, maybe it was just rushed, but it kept getting worse for me throughout these first 3 albums.
Mm-hmm.
This one I gave 0 5s. It took my bottom pick. My top track was either Anticipating or What It's Like to Be Me, and my bottom track was Boys. Now go ahead and disagree with me.
Okay. Where to start? This album got second from the top for me. Boys actually got a 5. It's not my top track, but it actually got a 5. My top track... Oh, did I say how many 5s? It got 4 5s.
4 5s.
Let me reiterate. It got 4 5s.
I gave it 0.
I know. That's why I'm reiterating. My top track was Overprotected. My bottom track was Cinderella.
Again, I could see it. I think it's one of the songs she helped co-write too, which is sad.
Yeah.
I think initially if I had just seen these 3 albums like I did growing up, I would have thought, okay, well, this just isn't for me, and we are off in the woods where I don't even belong.
See, and these albums were made for me at this time.
Yes, they were.
I was the demographic at this time, which is one of the reasons why I guess they hold a level of nostalgia for me. Now, I will go to say these albums are very dated. The only reason why they got high on my list is because of level of nostalgia, and I remember going back to a time when I was listening to it and how I felt. But Britney is very dated. She had her time, in my opinion.
That's rough.
I mean, it's honest, and that's what I'm here to be.
I kind of disagree.
That's fine.
But
I will get all the hate emails and comments now. So
okay. I think we're going to share in them. I again wouldn't have known that things were going to improve for me, and I didn't sit around listening to Britney on purpose. Mm-hmm. Moving on to the next album, that's 2003's In the Zone. How many 5s did you give it?
3.
I gave it 3. Where was it in your list?
Second to last.
Well, this was my runner-up, so it was close to the top for me.
We're almost the exact opposite.
We are.
Which is fine.
This one specifically, when you think about those first 3 albums and the fact that everywhere I went, I was surrounded by this Britney Spears music for a while, should it really come as any surprise that I was suicidal at some point in my life?
Do not blame that on
Y'all drove
Britney.
me nuts with this. But I will say, when it came to this album, I touched on last week the Brad Paisley song being one of those that I sat around and listened to. Mm-hmm. One of the others is from this album. It was Every Time by Britney Spears.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. heartbreaking for me. My bottom track was I Got That Boom Boom.
Can I tell you, I had high hopes in the beginning because I'm a Yin Yang fan from hell, and I had high hopes when it started. And then as soon as Britney came in and mentioned this song is for those Southern boys, I checked out completely. I was so disappointed by that song. I was this close to throwing my laptop at the wall because I was disappointed.
I was out before that point, and I agree there's some yin yang stuff out there that I like, but something about the sound I already knew. How did you even agree to this? Don't get me wrong, it's a good attempt at a crossover. But
yeah. Toxic was also on this album, correct?
It was.
Do you know she didn't win a Grammy for those first 3 albums that were ranked at number 1 in the Billboard 100 charts? Toxic was her first Grammy win.
I don't think I gave Toxic a 5.
Oh, I did, obviously. It deserves it.
Let's move on to Blackout from
Wait.
2007. Okay.
Quit jumping ahead. I didn't say my top track or bottom track.
My apologies.
My top track is Toxic, which comes to no surprise. But my bottom track was Showdown.
Yeah, it was pretty bad too.
The only reason why I gave that Yin Yang song, it wasn't in my bottom track, is because for the first 5 seconds of that song, it wasn't bad. But anyway, moving on to Blackout, her 2007 album. It got the bottom ranking for me. I gave it 2 5s. And my top track was Radar, and my bottom track was Heaven on Earth.
Well, this was my top pick.
Mm-hmm.
This got 6 5s from me.
Okay.
My top track was Get Naked. My bottom track was Toy Soldier. And your bottom track, Heaven on Earth, also got a 5 from me.
Okay.
This doesn't hold consistently good throughout. I think towards the end it starts to taper off for me. But I really thought she came into her own on this. I don't know. I could vibe to it in spite of my aversion to certain pop and my obvious gender affiliation.
Don't quote me a lot on this, but I think this was the album that she got a lot of writing credits. The albums before were a lot of label writing her lyrics for her, and I think she took the reins on this one, and I think In the Zone, to start writing her own stuff.
Yeah, and this one specifically, I know they were going for the sounds of certain other artists that were out at that point, which were popular, and nailed it in quite a few places. We'll get to that momentarily. Let's move on to the questionnaire.
All right.
What was your weirdest track?
Cinderella.
I said I can't get no satisfaction.
Yeah, that one was pretty weird.
Yeah. It was a strange cover.
Yeah.
I'm not crazy about that song to begin with.
I agree.
By the Rolling Stones. Mm-hmm. If you're going to try a cover, I at least appreciate that she was doing something different. Mm-hmm. I just wasn't feeling it.
Yeah, I agree. I'm also not a huge Stones fan, and I just think that I can appreciate the original over the cover for sure. I didn't really need it.
I would clarify that I haven't heard too much Stones, so please don't send us hate mail yet. We've not covered the Stones. What was your best title? When Your Eyes Say It. That's a good one.
Yeah.
I think I overlooked that somehow when I was trying to make my decision. I said Heaven on Earth.
Okay. Yeah, I live with someone that doesn't have a lot to say, so I got to read between the lines as far as...
It's all in the eyes.
It's all in the eyes.
Worst title.
More than words, baby, more than words. My worst title was Email My Heart. Again, dated.
I said Dear Diary.
Okay.
I knew what to expect from Email My Heart, but Dear Diary, I don't know. When you listen to it, it's as bad as you think it's going to be. The song title I would have used was I Need Friends and Hobbies.
Okay.
It's so sad. You're just talking to a diary. I get emotion in your head and whatever. What would you have chosen instead of Email My Heart?
I was torn. I was torn between this and another song, but I went with 90s Teenage Hardships, Email My Heart.
Yeah. Surprisingly, we're still using email a lot, but you can't relate to it.
No.
It's still not something that...
No.
Strongest element.
Her dance inspiration and live performances.
I'd agree. I also like her balladry and the fact that she has an instantly recognizable voice.
Yeah.
You cannot miss that low cadence that she has.
Mm-hmm.
And then she does get quite a bit nasally when she goes higher.
Yes.
But it doesn't annoy me in all places. I actually like it in some places. So that's what I would have said. What about your weakest element?
Her sound and style are dated.
I said bubblegum pop.
Okay.
So stick to the balladry and your club vibes, and I think you'll be gold.
Who do you think she sounds like?
Early 2000s pop artists. I'm going to give some examples.
Okay.
So similar sounding to, if you listen to Jessica Simpson's Heart of Innocence, that would represent the balladry.
Mm-hmm.
Or something like Mandy Moore's I Want to Be With You. You could also go with the lesser known group called M2M.
Mm-hmm.
Track I would have recommended was The Day You Went Away. And then to talk about Blackout specifically, they were going for, I think, the Nelly Furtado, Timbaland produced vibes. So something like Maneater from Nelly Furtado. But I also got a lot of Gwen Stefani, Love Angel Music Baby vibes from that. And I would have said Bubble Pop Electric.
Okay.
Was right in the same vein.
Do you know that has her dream collaboration?
Really?
Is with Gwen Stefani. Yeah, and Gwen hasn't done anything. I don't know if Gwen's throwing massive amounts of shade at Britney, but Britney has come out and said her dream collaboration is with Gwen.
I don't pretend to understand what's going on with Gwen. She left the lead singer of Bush, right?
For
Gavin Rossdale to marry Blake Shelton.
I don't think they're married yet.
Oh.
But yeah, she's with him.
It makes you wonder, like outside of music production, what are these people really like? Because you think you have a feel for them and you probably don't.
You have no idea who they are.
That's not who these people are.
I think Britney sounds like Janet Jackson, Destiny's Child, and Christina Aguilera.
I could see that.
So again, Destiny's Child and Christina Aguilera were also popular at this time. But she is heavily inspired by Janet Jackson, Madonna, Whitney Houston, and especially Slave for You reminds me a lot of Janet.
Yeah. Which
is funny because that song was actually written for Janet Jackson and she turned it down.
So Britney's just picking up everything that everybody else is putting down?
Yeah, she's here to do whatever people won't do.
When would you listen to this music, or how does it make you feel?
It makes me feel like a preteen girl. How does it make you feel?
I would have said emotionally on edge or ready to party. Again, these two artists from today were somewhat a roller coaster. Mm-hmm. Britney, less of a surprise because we all watched this child go through fame and the hardships and all of her life in public. And I cannot imagine what that must have been like. Mm-hmm. So props to her for turning out some good music at all.
Yeah. Especially now, that whole Free Britney movement. I don't know if you've heard about it.
No.
She's in a conservatorship, which means she can't make any decisions for herself regarding her career.
Okay.
Her dad oversees her career, and a lot of people are thinking that she's basically being held hostage at this point.
Nice.
So, yeah, I had to dive down that rabbit hole when we were doing this. But anyway, moving on. What was your first or best experience with Britney?
I kind of already touched on that. It would be the worst is what I went with. I know it's not written there, but that's what comes to mind is listening to her song every time.
Yeah.
Over and over with a handful of other tracks and contemplating killing myself.
Yeah, and the video didn't help at all.
I don't think I've ever seen the video.
In the video, it's a dream sequence, but she dies. The stresses of her relationship. I think she was with K-Fed at this point.
I need a drink.
All right. She was with K-Fed and just dealing with a lot of the hardships that come with being so famous and being so out of control when it comes to her career. And that was written in the prime that was happening. So,
what about you? What was your first or best?
Living in Whitney, listening to Britney on my hit clips.
And Whitney is a town?
Whitney is a town, sorry. I had hit clips which only played the first 10 seconds of a song. So again, dated, very... Do you remember hit clips?
No. I remember Back in the day, before any of the streaming services were really big, to try to find new music I thought I would like, I would go to Amazon and I would listen to like an album's little 30-second clips all the way down.
Yeah, it was like that, but it came with a little plastic piece that you insert inside of this tiny, tiny system. Yeah, mine was blue. But anyway.
Wow.
Who would you want them to collaborate with?
I said Timbaland.
Okay.
Just as far as production goes. And for cover songs, I said that I don't really enjoy her covers, so I wouldn't recommend any covers. What were your answers?
I'm only going to say this because we have been asking for this for a very long time. Get your head out of your asses and do a collaboration with Christina Aguilera. We have been waiting for it. Quit. I know that they say that.
She got so excited. She dropped her phone.
We've all been wanting it, at least the people who care. And I would want them to do Fighter because it makes sense.
Yeah, redo a Christina Aguilera song.
Redo it. At least then she could carry the song.
Yeah.
What makes Britney unique to you?
The unpredictable genres from track to track. Again, I think that speaks to the roller coaster. I just don't know. As I was listening to stuff that I hadn't really listened to before, too in depth, I didn't know what I was going to get when I pushed to the next song.
Yeah.
And she doesn't seem to give a fuck. Or whoever's mixing the albums didn't really seem to care. They're just willy-nilly throwing things around.
Yeah.
And yeah, I thought that was pretty unique. You don't see that very often. What about you?
I said her dance and club mix sound. At the end of the day, it's a lot of her songs, the majority of their songs are songs you can dance to, which is something that she enjoys doing. And if she had the choice, she would make more music like that, at least from what I heard.
How could this artist be most successful in the future?
Getting out of her conservatorship and taking back creative control.
See, I didn't know about this, so all I said was, no advice. Stay wild, Britney, stay wild.
Because that's what you love about her?
In places, yeah. She hits it sometimes, and sometimes she doesn't.
Yeah.
I think it's going to have to be that way.
Who would you recommend Britney to and why?
I said reserved young people, so they know it's awesome to just embrace and love who you are. And it may be corny to go back and listen to Britney Spears music, but really think about the fact that she did what she wanted to do, and you can do that too.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, in spite of her struggles and everything she's gone through in the public eye, that really is something worth celebrating, that she has embraced who she is, sometimes in extreme fashion. What did you say?
Now I don't even want to say anything after you gave that Independence Day level speech. Jesus. I said I wouldn't likely recommend her.
Okay.
Which, this is the first artist that I said I wouldn't likely recommend. I said unless her sound changes.
Okay.
Until she, I guess, experiments a little bit with a newer sound just to, again, stay relevant. But now, I get what Shane says as far as her staying true to herself.
Yeah, I'm better. What are you going to do?
I actually have an optional discussion topic.
Go. Let's hear it.
Boys from
Boys.
Austin Powers 3.
Oh, okay.
Because that song was made for that movie.
I did not know that.
She makes a cameo in Austin Powers 3.
Fun story while we're on the topic.
Okay.
Austin Powers 3 was one of those films that I knew before I even got to see it. There are only 2 films like that. There's Austin Powers 3, and then there is Nacho Libre.
Okay.
So what happened in both instances were some of my asshole friends went to the movies without me because I was working.
Mm-hmm.
And then they get home right about the time that I get home. And all they want to do is quote the movie about word for word from beginning to end. Because when you laugh so hard, all the jokes are still fresh in your head.
Yeah.
So yeah, I didn't hate them for it. It's comedy. You're not really spoiling much. But I had a pretty strong connection to Austin Powers Gold Member and Nacho Libre before I ever even saw them.
Austin Powers 3 was the first DVD I ever bought myself with my own money. And my brother, like an asshole, broke it into 2 pieces. So, thanks, Logan. I appreciate all you've done for me in breaking my Austin Powers DVD.
I highly doubt, by the way, that that's the last time Nacho Libre comes up in this podcast, because we are no doubt going to touch on something by the director of the film because of...
Jared Hess. Jared Hess.
Did he? I don't have any idea who did it. I just know it's the same person, but...
Yeah.
Napoleon Dynamite.
Yes.
Connected to Nacho Libre, and because of our family history, we will definitely be getting in the weeds with that at some point.
Absolutely. One thing that I want to note before we move on to the remainder of our list, JoJo did rank higher than Britney for me.
Same.
So
JoJo took the win.
Mm-hmm.
Did we even have any social media interaction for these artists this week?
Not to my knowledge. Not to my knowledge. But if you want to give your opinion and you feel like giving your opinion, follow us on Twitter and vote for the Battle of the Bands.
And that's just where the polls are. You can do it anywhere. Just let us know what you think. That's fine.
Yes.
I think the reason we're not seeing some interaction is because we're not where the people are with everything. We wanted to do something different on each platform, but you know, there's not a lot of people for us on Twitter at this point, and we are just starting out. So
there's also a poll on the website as well.
Yeah.
So click the link in any of our bios that you follow us on. It'll lead you to the website, and you can participate in the poll.
There was some stuff on the bottom I wanted to talk about.
Okay.
The track "What It's Like to Be Me" by Britney Spears was co-written by Justin Timberlake.
Yes.
And I think you can hear him in the song.
Yes, he's featured.
Okay.
I think that got a 5 for me as well. Didn't rank high on yours?
I don't remember if I gave it a 5 or not. It doesn't really matter. For new song or album title recommendations, I wanted to say that she should go back to the Goofy album titles. More and more in her discography, it's gotten serious or one word or just her name or variation of her name somehow. Go back to shit like Baby One More Time or Oops, I Did It Again.
I Did It Again.
Yeah, I may not love those tracks, but I love it's going to be fun from the outset.
Yeah.
You pick up something like Blackout, you have no fucking idea what it's going to be. I say this as someone who wanted to release a CD at one point called The Blackout. So something else was, as far as album art, I loved In the Zone's coloration on the cover, that blue. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a period piece for me. It reminds me of that time.
The only thing I can say for album art is that second album, that Oops, I Did It Again, of her with the jewels cascading down and she's holding onto them. I had that poster. Continue.
The song What You See Is What You Get sounded to me like a combination of Oops, I Did It Again and Baby One More Time.
Okay.
That kind of drove me nuts for a while. It took me a while to place it. Some other things I wanted to mention is she obviously covered the Rolling Stones' Can't Get No Satisfaction. She also covered I Love Rock and Roll by Joan Jett and the Blackhearts. Again, I don't really care for her covers.
Agreed. I definitely prefer the original.
She sampled in Ooh Ooh Baby. Is that the name of the song? Or is it Oh Oh Baby? I don't remember. I think it's Ooh Ooh Baby. And I don't even know if it's a sample. The vocal melody sounds exactly like Happy Together by the Turtles.
Okay.
Not in a good way for me.
Okay.
But I'm not crazy about that Turtles song anyway.
Every time I hear that Turtles song, it makes me think of your sister Katie.
Really?
Yeah, one night we were at your mom's work, and she decided to, I guess, troll everybody in the office that upcoming Monday. She wrote out the lyrics to the Turtles song on the whiteboard. And every time I hear that song, I mean, we probably cost your mom's office a fortune making copies of like our hands and our faces.
I didn't know about any of this. I worked in that office for like 6 years.
Well, there you go.
This was before I worked there.
Yeah, this was before you worked there. But yeah, every time I think of that song, I think of her.
The last thing I wanted to mention is Anticipating reminds me a lot of Rock With You by Michael Jackson.
I got a lot of Jackson vibes from even Michael. I know I said Janet, but I got a lot of Michael too.
Anyway, let's get on to the second half of the list. What was your sixth pick?
My number 6 was Night Call by Kavinsky. It was featured in the movie Drive, starring, Ryan Gosling.
Hey, girl.
Hey, girl. It's got that 80s sound. A lot of it's electric. It's this electric sound that I really, really like. I gravitate to a lot of that 80s synth sound. And I just think this was a modern version of it.
Okay.
So that's the reason why it made my list.
And again, these are songs that remind us of ourselves.
Yes.
We literally went that selfish for week 2.
Yes. As if we couldn't be more self-centered.
Yeah.
What's your next pick?
It's When I'm Not Near the Girl I Love by Tommy Steele. This is from the Finian's Rainbow soundtrack, which, as anyone who knows me knows, I love that film. It's my favorite musical. This is a Francis Ford Coppola film that he did right around the same time he did The Godfather, and you would never know it.
Nope.
That's how talented he is.
Yep.
The song in general, it does speak to me. My mom gets pissed off because I think most of the rest of everyone in the world doesn't see how fucking goofy I can be from time to time. I get ridiculous.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
If we're karaoke and it's going to be fucking Stroking by Clarence Carter,
yes.
I'm a goofball like your brother. We all...
Yeah, you don't take yourself too seriously.
I can, but...
Well, I know you can, but if you're going to make a spectacle out of yourself, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be you making a fool out of yourself.
Yeah.
So.
This would also speak to the fact that I love women. There's really no easy way around that.
Yep.
So.
He literally changes his infatuation within the song from woman to woman.
A good example of what I'm talking about is my friend Joel. Mm-hmm. When we were younger, I think I was probably 19, 20, something like that. We threw a party, and this fucker thought it would be funny to invite every single girl on my MySpace friends list to this birthday party. And I showed up with a date, and he just wanted to watch me squirm. I guess he thought that I was trying to get with every last one of these girls, which was not the case, but...
Yeah. Hater extraordinaire.
Yeah. When I'm not near the girl I love the girl I'm near. What's your next pick?
Thunder Kiss 65 by White Zombie.
Good shit.
So, again, this touches on a heavier side of me, a darker side of me. This was my first favorite song by White Zombie. Later became Rob Zombie. I'm not splitting hairs here. Anyway, this song is definitely a song you can just bang your head to. So it's just another side of me that I'm a lot of different things, and this just highlights how different my styles and in music, clothing, whatever can change and be.
I can attest to that. You're not the same. You're not the creature that if you just looked at you, everybody's going to make their assumptions. Mm-hmm. I think this is true for most people.
Yeah.
But you can be rather surprising in a lot of places.
There's a lot of layers here. I'm an onion.
She's an onion.
What's your next pick?
It's The Channel by Limp Bizkit.
Okay.
Not from my favorite Limp Bizkit work, that's for damn sure, but this is one of my best Limp Bizkit songs. Really speaks to just how fucking jaded I can be. It's a dark song.
Speaking of layers, Shane has a lot of them too.
Yeah, what this song reminds me of as far as sound goes is the time that I spent making music with some friends and writing the most offensive, absurd, just downright ridiculous things that we could.
So this is crude Mama's Boy era.
Yes.
All right. Just getting the timeline right.
And the odd thing is we go through this process of making all of this just atrocious music lyrically. I mean, the sound wasn't that great because we just recorded in a hurry again. That's all. That's my life, is just recording music in a hurry.
Listen to the song Headrest.
Yeah, anyway.
Shout out to Joseph.
Those 3 guys that I wrote music with, they are all now my brothers.
All fathers.
Yes, all fathers as well. But 2 of them are with 2 of my sisters, and one of them I am with his sister. So
it's a family affair.
Yeah, we were a tight-knit group. What can I say? Someday I would like to go back and re-record some of that music, but with some serious lyrical content.
Mm-hmm.
Not that stuff that's offensive on purpose that we did, which I think was really just a rebellious, be stupid because you can.
Yeah.
It was that time in our lives. I would like to go back and do it better at some point.
That was part of the intrigue, though.
If you say so. I can't listen to it anymore. It's bad. What's your next pick?
My next song is Eye to Eye by Tevin Campbell, made famous in the Goofy movie. This movie is severely slept on. It is one of my favorite movies from that time. And to this day, I will continuously ask my Alexa to play Eye to Eye or Stand Out from that movie in the shower and just sing at the top of my lungs.
I actually got excited recently because they had pulled Eye to Eye from listenable on Spotify.
Yep.
And now it's listenable again.
Yes, it
I was
is.
very happy about that.
So this song is a banger. Even though it was meant for a child's movie, it holds up. So that's one of the reasons why it makes my list.
Yes, because she's a Disney nerd.
I am. There's no shame in my game. What's your next pick?
My next pick is The Great Unknown by Sean Mullins. There were a lot of Sean Mullins songs that I could have chosen here, but this is, I have to say it, my favorite song of all time.
Okay.
I think I upset my sister Katie recently because she knows I love this song, and so she's tried to top that over Epiphany for me, which I have them on the same level, so I never know, like, if we're playing a game of mixtape or something and somebody plays Epiphany and somebody else plays The Great Unknown.
Great Unknown's going to get your vote.
Fuck both of y'all. I don't know what to choose here. I have to go with the most recent. But what this song is about is essentially just being another no one in the grand scheme of things, and realizing the sooner you accept that the better your life is going to be. And every time I hear this song, I think about the different places that I've worked and all of the beautiful people that I've had the opportunity to work with. They're not necessarily like me. They don't dream of producing a best-selling novel or putting a bunch of music out or anything like that. But my life would be completely different without the influences of a lot of these people, whether it's the bowling alley where I worked with Cece and Larry, or at my mom's office working with William and Jerry and Paul, or, I mean, even recently working at Sally Beauty with people like Sam and Amanda and Neil. Neil is a musician friend of mine, by the way, who's fantastic. If you're on Spotify, go listen to Neil Ryan and the Mistreated, and also listen to The Great Unknown by Sean Mullins. What's your next pick?
Well, this will come to no surprise to you, considering that you consistently make fun of me for loving this song. It's In a Big Country by Big Country.
I don't make fun of you. It's just surprising.
Why? This isn't some Rayburn shit that...
No, it's not your bag, you know?
I disagree wholeheartedly.
Okay.
And apparently you don't know me very well.
I don't know the bottom of your bag well enough, I guess.
There is no bottom. Anyway.
Continue.
So this is another song that reminds me of myself. I sing this song in karaoke. It's a bop, as the kids nowadays would say. It came out in the 80s, correct?
I think so.
Okay. So again, it's got that, Shane says...
It might have been 90s.
Shane says that a lot of the songs that remind him of me is some of that Rayburn shit. And I thought this was one that fell in that category.
I think the reason you think that is because this is on Guitar Hero.
Yeah, that's the first place I sang it in karaoke.
Yeah, and normally by the time that we get around to playing this in Guitar Hero, I'm pretty drunk and I'm on Expert, and this is beastly for some reason when I'm intoxicated.
Okay.
I like the song. I do like the song.
This is also...
And it's easy to remember. In a Big Country by Big Country.
Yeah. So I'm a simple gal in a big country by Big Country. Moving on.
I can appreciate that.
I say I'm a simple gal, and then I sit there and say that I have lots of layers. My layers are simple. Moving on.
She's confusing. So my next pick is A Better Bridge by Thrice, one of my favorite bands. If you're just meeting me, hi, how are you doing? Listen to Thrice. Now we're not strangers anymore. Sorry. It's not bothering me. It just makes me laugh. I can hear this.
Someone put me out of my misery, please.
So this song reflects where I am with regard to religion and politics, something we've agreed to not really discuss on the podcast because
It's impolite.
I don't even agree that it's impolite. I like pushing for the best in people's heads, but I've had a tendency to go way too hard at it, and it's made a lot of people dislike me.
Well, people aren't coming here for that anyway.
Agreed.
So.
But if you go listen to this song, which is again called A Better Bridge, lyrically from beginning to end, it really shows you where I'm at, which I don't feel partisan or like I should push something down your throat anymore. I think we have too much in common to be at odds all the time. That's how I feel with regard to most people, and I don't really care to talk about these things. What it reminds me of is there was an incident at the office when I worked in Richardson where one of the coworkers was getting into a fight with a new hire. I had just moved up to management, and we brought somebody else in who was a friend of one of the uppers, but he was an atheist, and he would talk about it all the time. And I kind of agree with him, but I don't want to hear about it all the time. And he would drive everyone I worked with in there nuts. And eventually, one of the people that was in there had just had enough and threw a bunch of oil before this kid came in. Threw a bunch of oil all over his desk and computer and his chair.
What the hell?
And at some point, you start to reflect on your life. Like, am I that person that's throwing oil on somebody's shit just because we disagree? And a big turning point for me was our great aunt, who is religious.
Yes.
I love her very much.
Yes.
She's always been around. But Annie pulled me to the side. We were walking to the car after a wedding. She pulled me to the side and she thanked me for always playing along and told me that she thought I was a good person in spite of, me not having the same beliefs as everybody else. And what I didn't get into the weeds with her on is that I do consider myself something of a spiritual person. My beliefs are not what a lot of people think that they are.
Yeah.
I just don't want to get into it anymore.
Yeah.
And this speaks to that. The lyrics really do highlight the fact that I want to know you. I don't want to just judge you based on your religion or your political affiliations. And that's all I have to say for now.
As long as I've known you, you have always appreciated, whether or not you agree with a person's opinions or not, you've always appreciated a level of honesty. It's one of the reasons why you make it so easy to talk to you about things, because you're already walking into the conversation with the anticipation of not judging someone.
Yeah.
And I also appreciate that. And in my opinion, I would love for people to be more like that, because I, like you, I consider myself a spiritual person, but I don't conform to any sort of real religion as well. So there are too many things we do not understand. I, like you, will rely more on proof and science, but I don't discredit anyone else for believing what they want to believe in.
Yeah.
I'm not going to judge someone for taking comfort in believing that what they want to believe.
We've all had our own experiences, and I don't think it's anybody else's job to knock what you believe the reality of those experiences were.
Agreed.
And this isn't to say that there aren't people who are TFGs that are too far gone, because those people definitely exist. So if you've seen me online arguing with someone and just shutting them the fuck down because I'm tired of it, that's why. And I'm trying to move away from that just because it's a waste of my time.
Yeah. We have entirely too much shit going on a day-to-day basis to argue and fight over something that seems so insignificant.
Yes, especially when you're not changing anyone's mind. Anyway, what's your next pick?
My next pick is an ode to my girls, which incidentally is your girls.
Okay.
Laura, Katie, Jordan, if you're listening, this one's for you. Say You'll Be There by the Spice Girls is my last choice. I spent a lot of wonderful moments with these girls, and those moments have brought me a lot of joy and have a lot to do with the person that I am today. Just the free, flighty nature of not giving a shit and doing what you want to do, regardless of what people think about you. They inspired me a lot when I was younger. We were together a lot. So that's the reason why this song makes this list.
They are good about that.
Yes, they are. What's your last pick?
My last pick is I Like Beer by Tom T. Hall.
He does like beer.
If you want to bond with me, go to a store and buy some weird-ass 6-pack of brews and just show up. We're going to get to know each other. We're going to have a good time. That much I can assure you. So, and this is, to be clear, beer. I'll drink wine, I'll drink liquor. I'm just not big on it. I'm not even big on the feeling of being drunk for the most part. I just like tasting the different beers. There's a wide variety of stuff there. This song's pretty comical because, again, I'm an idiot, especially when I've been drinking. I'm a fucking idiot. And what it reminds me of is there was a night, we've always gone to these beer festivals, but we started going to this craft house where they have like 30 beers on tap. We show up one day and no one else that's around really likes IPAs, but the majority of what they had on tap were IPAs. Of course, I have to try everything, so we order all these little samples. We get through the majority of it, and I am smashed. Everybody else is okay, but I'm fucking gone. And someone has the bright idea, I think it was Christy, might have been Toby, I'm pretty sure it was Christy. Hey, there's another one of these places down the road that has 45 beers on draft. So we went there. Luckily, I'd had some of that stuff before, but there were when I got up the next day, there were over 50 ratings of new beers in my shit. I drank my ass off that night. So when I say I like beer, I mean it. And the other thing is, I don't consider myself a beer snob, but something that's been happening online that's been bugging the shit out of me is I keep getting stuff for Bud Light seltzer.
Yeah.
And nothing against Post Malone, nothing really against Bud Light, but I think Budweiser's marketing team is out there listening for buzzwords like, I like beer, or beer is good. What you should be listening for is, I want to get drunk. Let's get fucked up, because that's who you're appealing to, not me. I like beer, not just getting fucked up to get fucked up. So.
You like the chill aspect, having a good time of it. And you also fully welcome the conversation that it usually brings.
Yeah. I went to Total Wine recently for the first time since this pandemic started. And I was supposed to buy, I said I was going to buy 24 originals that I'd never had.
You're stocking up.
So 4 6-packs. Like I had said in advance, okay, I'm probably going to bring this amount of beer back. I brought 48 beers back. So I got 2 cases while I was out.
Yeah.
And I'm only drinking like 2, maybe 4 per week.
Yeah.
But still, I like beer. All right, so at this point, we should go ahead and mention that if you have any recommendations, questions for us, or just want to let us know what you think, just reach out to us online. And with that said, we'll go ahead and get on to the Jam Jar, our artist for next week.
Let's do it.
So I'll do the honors. I'll go ahead and grab the listener Jam Jar. It's not very full yet.
Shake it up. Yeah.
I'll see what we got in here. Scared something's going to fall out. All right, we have Lee Bryce, recommended by Katie.
Katie Bug coming through. All right.
Just want to go ahead and say congratulations to Katie on a birthday well done.
Yeah, she just planned a birthday party for her son Stu, and it kicked ass. That is one lucky boy.
Yeah, we just want to say that we miss you, buddy. I hope to see you soon. Sorry it's been so long.
Yeah.
And
moving on.
To pull from the real Jam Jar. Entirely too full. Please don't be more pop. Well,
there is over 1,000 artists in that jar.
I dropped something on the floor. It's Alicia Keys.
All right. I can mess with Alicia Keys.
Yeah. Country and R&B. I can go this route.
Well, that's going to about do it this week. Come find us online and let us know what you want to hear next, because it's what you choose to share that ultimately makes your melody unforgettable. You can email us at rated_radio@yahoo.com. And with that, we're gone until next time.
Bye, folks.